episode 21 of the Wizards of Pod podcast, a podcast of librarians talking about podcasts. My name is Sarah, and with me are my co-hosts Dave and Colleen. So join us as we discuss new and noteworthy podcasts, along with the information about libraries in general.
Yay!
I just said the information about libraries in general.
That's fine.
Yeah. It is information.
It is, yeah.
So it's not just information, it's the information.
Thank you.
So how are we doing?
I am sleepy.
Me too.
Me three.
I made the mistake of my puppy's not being crated anymore. Crated.
Oh.
So at night she...
Is she sleeping with you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In bed.
Yeah.
Graduated to hogging the bed.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Good
They
for Pepper.
do that. They really do that.
So.
Yeah. I was just telling Colleen, I feel like I haven't slept very well in the last few days, and I don't want to blame the cats, but it probably is them, honestly, because Loopy, she is so high energy at night, of course. And she's brand new to the world, basically. So she just likes to run up and down my legs while they're under the blanket. So she can just like attack them and then turn around and go up again.
Yep. That's good when you're on vacation and you can sleep in.
Yeah.
And then you enjoy it, but when you got to wake up the next day.
Yeah.
It's rough. Fun, but rough. How are you, Colleen?
I got nothing.
Nothing? Oh, that's good.
I don't know when we last recorded. It feels like a blur.
It was
Last month.
in the end of July? Was it the end of...
Yeah, because we I think we got the podcast out on time.
Yeah.
Oh.
Surprise,
Okay.
surprise.
Yeah.
Then I got married.
Yay! Oh, yay!
I didn't know if that happened already.
Yeah.
We're done. We
Yeah.
did it. Never have to plan another wedding.
She's a
Hopefully.
married woman.
That's a weird thought.
So, with that, let's talk about this month's theme. So last month, if you listened to our last episode, you know that we decided to change our format, and we had a blast doing it. So we're going to do the same thing for this month's episode and possibly future episodes, more than likely. So for September, we decided to rank 5 podcasts that we randomly chose from podbiblemagazines.com. They had an article called The 10 Best Watch-Along Podcasts for TV Fans. Last month we did movies, so this month we decided we would do TV shows.
We love a screen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's talk about which podcasts we chose from that list. So, who wants to say the first one? I was about to go for it, and then I just remembered that we literally just talked about it.
The first podcast that we chose from that list is called Buffering, a Rewatch Adventure. The show began in 2016 with Buffering the Vampire Slayer, an episodic rewatch of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, hosted by Jenny Owen Youngs and Kristen Russo, and now continues through some of the most iconic genre shows rooted in the 90s and 2000s.
The next podcast is Office Ladies. The Office co-stars and best friends Jenna Fisher and Angela Kinsey are doing the ultimate The Office Rewatch podcast for you. Each week, Jenna and Angela will break down an episode of The Office and give exclusive behind-the-scenes stories that only 2 people who were there can tell you.
The next podcast we randomly chose was Dragoncast. The Webby 2023 honored Dragoncast is a podcast series dedicated to the Game of Thrones prequel House of the Dragon and other amazing TV shows. Hosted by Thronecast Jamie East alongside journalist and Game of Thrones ninja Chris Mandel, Dreamcast is a weekly breakdown of each episode and passionate discussion around theories, plots, deaths, and dragons.
The next podcast that we chose was HBO's Succession podcast. This is the official companion podcast for the HBO original series Succession. Journalist and host Kara Swisher unpacks every episode of this final season with the show's writers, producers, and directors. Plus, she taps real-life experts outside the show like business titans, whistleblowers, and political consultants to find out just how terrifyingly accurate the world of Succession really is. You can stream all Succession episodes and listen to the podcast on Max. HBO produces the official Succession podcast with Pineapple Street Studios.
And the final podcast that we're going to be talking about is Talking Sopranos. Although The Sopranos has been discontinued for 15 years, or over 15 years, it's never the wrong time to get into the show. Whether you're fresh to it or on your 12th rewatch, this is the top companion pod. Its hosts are Michael Imperioli and Steve Sharipa, who are actors in the show, and who played Christopher Moltisanti and Bobby Basileri. I'm putting too many syllables in there. And who liberally sprinkle anecdotes and memories from their time on set into the mix. It's as close as you'll get to hanging out, eavesdropping on Tony in Dr. Melfi's office in podcast form.
So I have to say, I think that liberally sprinkled anecdotes is multiple F-bombs.
Oh, yeah. Very much so.
Was The Sopranos discontinued? Like, did they stop it? Or
it ended. Yeah, The show ended.
I know it ended, but it didn't. Discontinued made it sound like they, canceled it.
Yeah, no, I think, I don't know why it's set, I don't know why that's in the, what do you call this thing?
Article?
No, this wasn't from the article. This
was the
from
description?
Apple. Yeah, the description. That's what it's kind of weird that they put it in the description as being.
Should we let it be known that these descriptions are from Apple Podcast?
Yes. So, in case you didn't hear what Sarah just said, all of these descriptions are from Apple Podcasts. So if you look at Apple Podcasts, you'll read these descriptions. And also, I had forgot to mention earlier that these shows that we picked randomly, we got from podcastbiblemag.com, and the URL for the article will be in the show notes. So if you want to take a look at what the other, because there was also a lot of other TV shows that were there. We just kind of threw a dart at a board and picked out the ones that stuck.
There was also an interesting article I found in The Guardian that I linked if you guys want to go back and read it later, but it was about how so many TV shows are getting companion podcasts now, where there's so many rewatch podcasts and blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. And they said, interestingly, a lot of it they think had to do with COVID. People were rewatching things.
Yeah.
And they were nostalgic.
That makes sense.
Yeah. It's it's kind of cool.
Yeah. I dig it.
Me too. So we're going to get on to our rankings and reviews. Just to let everyone know, we did warn you last month that we'd probably change this up a little bit. We didn't do a big difference. It's still the one thing that we did change, though. Instead of doing 1 to 3, that we felt that was kind of limited, so we decided we'll rank it. And with that, we'll start with Buffering, a Rewatch adventure. So, still recording. Still recording. Yes, it is. So I gave it a 5.
I also gave it a 5.
I did too.
It's pretty simple. The length of the episodes. So the length of the episode is
1.5 about
hours,
an hour and a half.
Yeah,
pretty long.
A little beyond. I mean, there's a couple of podcasts I subscribe to that will go 1.5 hours, but it's a little past my sweet spot, so I only gave it a 3.
I also gave it a 3.
Ooh. I gave it a 4 because I do like longer episodes, but then I was something like all those 90s 2000 shows are 20 to 30 minutes. So when you're getting into a whole hour and a half podcast about it, I'm that might be
overkill.
I
mean, Buffy was 45 minutes, 40 or 50 minutes, and now they're talking about the X-Files, which I can't remember how long. I feel like the X-Files is about a 45 minute. Hold on.
Yeah.
But
hour and a half's a little long for me.
It is. Right. It's long for me.
They were both a 1 hour show, so you usually figured it was 20 minutes of commercial, so it was 40 minutes,
something
episode.
like that.
One thing I did want to say about Buffering is it actually is morphed. So it was originally called Buffering, a Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Something like that.
Yeah, they must have. I guess after
through all Buffy.
they got all
through Buffy, and then they started with I don't know if they did something in between, but like you said, they're doing the X-Files now, and they named it. The show is so now they rebranded instead of Buffering a Buffy the Vampire Slayer as Buffering a Rewatch adventure, and so now that they're doing the X-Files, they're calling that the XEX Files. Then it was kind of funny. It says here in the Pod Bible Mag review that it's not saying it here, but it actually said it had to do something with the fact that the two hosts are like ex-wives.
Are they?
Yeah,
That's so
like
funny.
They were in a previous, they were together. So
really?
They called it, because it actually says it's hard to
X-Files. I get it.
And that the reason why they started the Buffy the Vampire Slayer one was because that show says, well, here's what Pod Bible makes it. It's hard to overstate how important Buffy the Vampire Slayer was to a generation of young people who found community and recognition in its portrayal of gay women.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hosts Kristen Russo and Jenny Owen Youngs are both queer and bring that perspective to their episode-by-episode rewatch of Buffy.
But they were married to each other?
I think so, yeah. That's what it is. I didn't really say, but I read it someplace else where it hinted like that's how they were like married to each other and everything. Well, let's get back to the ratings. That was a tangent. So
release schedule.
Release schedule is weekly, which I made a 4. I really like weekly schedules, but not when they're over an hour. So that's why I dropped it down a notch.
Okay.
I gave it a 5 because weekly is perfect.
Yeah, I gave it a weekly.
I gave it a weekly.
I gave it a weekly. I gave it a 5 too. Yeah.
Great. And production quality, I gave it a 4. I thought it was good. There were some aspects of it that, the sound wasn't perfect, but overall, I thought it was decent.
I also gave it a 4.
I gave it a 5.
Yay!
Yeah, like I said before, I think I just really liked this podcast because I did not realize that they may or may not have been exes, but I do like their banter, and
yes.
I also obviously love Buffy and X-Files. Good stuff. I didn't finish X-Files. I think I started watching it before the pandemic started, and then. Yeah, it was before the pandemic.
Yeah, I started watching it when it first came out.
Yeah.
And it was really good. But I was at the age where, and it was on Friday nights. So it was like, when I started watching it, I was working in the bakery, and I was in the bakery part, and I had a TV that was on. So while I was rolling out the donuts, I would have it on, watching it. But then, I guess my duties may have changed or something. I can't quite remember, but it aired on a Friday night, and then my social life got in the way, and there was no
social life.
Yeah. So I didn't finish it, but I remember it was really, really good.
But so I've never watched it. It's on my list. I thought that from what I know that it's like a vampire man or something. So who's no?
Buffy.
Yeah.
But we're talking about X-Files, right?
Oh, you jumped to X-Files?
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Sorry. Still in
I never watched all. I only saw like the first season of Buffy.
I pretty much watched all of Buffy. I watched I think so. I did a rewatch of the first couple of seasons like 2 years ago, I think, but haven't gotten up to like the last few seasons, I think, and I do want to do a full rewatch. Maybe I will. I'll listen to the podcast.
I know.
While I go.
I know. Nola tried to get Zachary, my youngest son, into it. She was like, had him sit down, and she's like, "You gotta watch it. It's great," and everything. And he had no interest at all. He shot her down, and she was devastated.
I remember when I was a kid. Before I would go to school, they would have reruns of Buffy on TV, and I would watch it.
Probably like a Channel 9.
I would watch Home Improvement, Everybody Hates Chris, and all that nonsense.
The one thing with when the hosts are doing the X-Files, I forget which one, but one of them saw all the X-Files and the other one never, so she's watching it
cool.
for the first time before they discuss it.
Okay. That's fun. I don't remember. Do we we wait until the end to edit everything up, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So for the next podcast, Office Ladies, For still recording, I gave it a 5 because, yes, they are still recording.
I also gave it a 5.
I gave it a 5.
Well, that was easy.
I like, for the mostly I like programs that are still running.
Yeah.
Not always, but...
For length of episodes, which the episodes ran from like 45 minutes to an hour, I gave that a 5 because that's like, to me, that's perfect. 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, I gave it a 5 also. I agree. 45 minutes to an hour is like the sweet spot for me, I think. And it's also fun to listen to them talk.
I wrote that I gave it a 4, but I don't really know why.
I'm just being picky.
Yeah. So I'm going to up it. I'm going to make it a 5. They had really good banter and chemistry, and even though, I mean, generally 30 to 45 minutes is what I like the best, the extra, 15 minutes, it went fast, so I didn't mind the extra 15 minutes. So I'm going to change that to a 5. If I could find a pen, I would. That way when I add, I don't misdo it.
So for release schedule, they're another weekly one, so I gave that a 5 as well.
Same. So far,
Cool.
so good.
And then for production quality, I also gave them a 5. I gave them all 5s.
I gave them all 5s.
5s, me too.
Yeah.
Wow.
All 5s.
Yeah. I love the Office ladies, man.
Yeah. And when they first started playing, I was like, there was something about, they were like too cheery and squeaky, and I was like, they're going to be annoying. But it went away like really fast, and I got used to it, and I really got into the episodes.
Yeah.
And everything.
Yeah, like I said, I thought that they were fun to listen to, and it's just nice to hear them again when they're not on the show.
Well,
they don't really act in much.
I don't see them acting. I mean, they might.
Well, the one she was saying how she has, I think she has a young child. So I think
I know
taking
that.
time off. Oh no! It wasn't that she had a young child. She was talking about the episode I was listening to. They didn't. She wasn't in it because she was on maternity leave.
Oh.
And
Right. Okay.
She was like, I forget the episode's name because I have to admit I never really watched The Office.
Really?
Yeah. And it was the one where they went to the pool. They had the pool party. And if I look it up, I can tell you which episode it is. And she was saying she thought it would be great if she had did a phone call and called Jim. But they're like, no, you can't because...
You're on maternity leave?
Yeah. And they didn't want to pay her. So
I mean,
they're
fair.
like, no.
Yeah, I have to admit I haven't finished watching all of The Office, but I do enjoy watching it. How long has it been off air for?
A few years.
Yeah. Good few years.
The other thing I really liked about this is they gave what I thought was a unique... I mean, Talking Sopranos did it also, but I liked how unique it was that not only were they recapping the show, but they were able to give you a behind the scenes.
Yeah, I liked that it was they weren't necessarily the official the HBO ones, but both of them it's the actors recapping it.
Right.
So
right.
They're putting their actual memories and thoughts into it.
Right,
So
but they were talking about how with this one episode, the one episode that I remember listening to the most, they were trying to find a house that had an indoor pool, and they were looking for locations. They had to get the right house and the right pool, but they couldn't find the right pool in the right house, so they ended up filming in 2 different locations. And they were talking about, and then one of the location of the house was in Pasadena, and I guess they have really strict laws about
filming.
Yeah, about the times that you can film, but not only that, but about where the actors' trailers and everything can be. So they had to stay outside and be chauffeured from their trailers to the set and then back. And so I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah,
I like that.
That's really cool. Yeah, that's fun when they have those those little behind the scenes stories to add to the whole thing. Just adds to the experience.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's why I gave it all perfect scores.
Me too, yeah. The next podcast that we are going to be talking about is Dragoncast. And for the first criteria, if it's still recording, I said... Well, it is still recording, but it's a little inconsistent because the last time they released an episode was July 4th. So we're kind of not really sure if they're going to put out more.
Yeah.
Kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
It is. It's, well, I mean, the purpose of the podcast is for House of the Dragon, and there's only one season, and the season's over, so it may be that they're waiting until the next season, but they were doing other shows in
currently,
between.
I know that they were talking about Succession.
Yeah, they were doing some other,
and
another one, but
something else. But I gave it a 4 for still recording because I don't know if they are.
I gave it a 1 because it was.
Ooh.
There's going to be a whole bunch of things because just trying to find the podcast was a nightmare.
It was very hard to find. I had to go back to the article and see what was linked to it because there are other podcasts with the same name.
And then when I went to the link, I was like, oh, they made a mistake because it's going to Succession. And it had a picture of Succession on it. And I was like, nah, this is wrong and everything. But then after you read the description, it's like, oh, this is Dragoncast.
Right.
We're on hiatus.
Yeah.
Or, we're not that they're on hiatus, but
the show is.
Right.
Yeah.
And everything. And I was like, this is too confusing. I was like, so that's why I gave it a 1.
Like, they're focused wholly on Succession right now. Yeah. But they're like, don't worry, like, it's still Dragoncast, but... I gave it a 3 for still recording because I was confused. Like, I found this confusing enough that I was like, 3.
Maybe I should change mine. You know what? I'm going to give it a 3 too.
Ooh.
Okay, so for length of episodes, the episodes are about an hour long each, and I gave it a 4 because I don't love longer episodes, and it depends on the content, really, but yeah.
I gave it a 5. I mean, originally I was going to do less because there's a lot of things I did not like about this podcast. But when I started listening to a couple of the episodes, there was, it was decent, so it was kind of going fast. So I was like, it's, an hour's not so bad. So I gave it full credit.
I gave it a 4 because I almost was like, I feel like it should be longer. Because it's like when you're like, Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, the episodes are long.
There's a lot to talk about.
They're
There's
super
so much going
involved.
on.
Like, you can nitpick everything in those. Like, you can nitpick their outfits, their hair, like what colors they're wearing, like the eyeball movement. So I was like, for that one to be an hour, I was like, make it longer. Yeah. So I gave it a 4.
Well, I'll have plenty to say.
Related
to that with production quality.
Same. For release schedule, so it is weekly, but because it's not consistent.
You're right.
I mean, I did give it a 5, but now I just, it's hard because it's not a consistent podcast, and I think I'm bringing it down to a 3.
Me too. That's exactly. I have a 5 here, but I want to bring it down to a 3.
Yeah,
I had a 5, but I'm changing it to a 4 because I didn't think about that either. Like, weekly is perfect, but not when
it's not consistent, and you don't know what the status is.
I get it because there's only one season of House of the Dragon out, so you don't want to wait. Because I would rather something like that. I'd rather listen while I'm watching. You know what I mean? Like The Office and The Sopranos. Like, I get why they recorded after the fact because it's like that's something that people rewatch. But with this, it's like you're waiting like every week to like for the next episode, and you're like foaming at the mouth. So I'm like, I get why they do it in that way.
Yeah, well, I have things to say about that too.
So, production quality. I gave it a 3, and it's so the episodes that I listen to, and I don't know if it's every episode that they've done. But I didn't like the quality. I feel like it was weird. It wasn't great. And also, they were watching the show while recording. And there's just like weird semi-silence. So like you can hear in the background the TV playing and then them talking about it. And it's just like, why didn't you watch it beforehand and then talk about it? Or like, I don't know. I didn't like it.
I gave it a 1.
Oh.
For many different reasons.
Okay.
One is going back with the still recording and everything, it was super confusing. Because even though they're doing Succession, if you look at the previous episodes, they're doing it in between. For a while, they were doing it in between rewatching Game of Thrones also.
Yeah, that's so confusing.
And on top of that, I was specifically like, I want to listen to the episode they did on Heart Home. So I was trying to find it, and I'm like, whoa, it's good, because I'm like, it didn't seem like it was in order, because it was like, I was looking at season 4, then it went to season 3, and then I was like, wait, but then went back to 5, and I'm like, and it's because they were doing season 4 of Succession. So then I had to figure that out. So then I was like, I know Heart Home is in season 5, so I found season 5. But then they skipped the first 7 episodes of season 5.
What the hell?
Yeah, they started with episode 8, which was Heart Home. So then they spent the first 15 minutes explaining what the first part of this season, what happened in the first part of the season. And then the host of the show kept getting the facts wrong.
Oh, gosh.
And the other guy was correcting him. So...
I feel like their only redeeming quality was their accents.
Yeah. but they sounded good. I mean well, the quality of the sound, you're right. And then there was times where you could tell like they weren't together in the room because they must
have been like doing Zoom or something like that.
Yeah, because one guy started like, doing that, where you couldn't understand. He was cutting in and out and everything. And I was like, and everything. I was like, and just on top of that, I had to give it a 1.
I gave it a 2 because I also agree that it was super confusing, and I hate when they change their cover art periodically.
Oh, they had like all the different.
It never fixed
I hate
it.
No,
because the last few episodes they finished rewatching, and the reason why I think they have it recorded since July 4th was that's when they did the last episode of Game of Thrones, the rewatch of that series. That, because it was episode 6 of season 8. Mm-hmm. And it's like...
They're also not the only, Game of Thrones, House of Dragon podcast out there, so, you gotta up your ante.
Yeah.
No, I mean, and one of my favorite ones is Game of Owns. And they're really, and they're not even the most consistent on when they release, but that's partly because I think they have a deal with Stitcher where they want subscribers of Stitcher to get things first or to get exclusive content.
Yeah.
But like they're doing now is they'll do the TV shows, then they'll record right after, they'll record 2 episodes after a TV show airs. They'll do one, if it airs on a Sunday, they'll do one the next day that's on a Monday, where they talk about it. And the big thing about the show is the owns is when somebody says such an awesome line that it owns it, whatever.
Oh.
So they'll do that, and then they have the audience. They'll give them a couple of days to put in what their favorite was for the episode, and then they'll. The audience will either tweet it or share it on Instagram or whatever, and then they'll read those.
That's cool.
That's
fun. Yeah.
So that's really cool. But not only do they do the TV show, but then they also read the books, and they'll do it now they're doing and I just read the book, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, which is about Dunk and Egg. Egg is Aegon Targaryen. He was one of the
okay.
And Dunk was a hedge knight who Aegon was so far down the line of succession that they didn't think he was going to become king. So he was like, oh, I want a squire for this guy. He's kind of cool. And they let him do it. But then what happens is he actually does become king and everything. So they're doing that book, and they've done all the other books and everything. So they just, there's plenty of content with Game of Thrones. They don't have to do Succession.
Yeah, it's a weird jump.
Yeah. I don't know.
The only thing I can think of is Colleen said that, because there are other HBO shows.
Yeah.
Which I get, but couldn't be more different as a show.
Exactly.
Whatever.
And then to have that in between
rewatches
of Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
it's
do a more fantasy type show
right,
than it.
Because
don't go to Succession.
With Buffy or buffering, they did something that was fantasy. It went from Buffy to the X-Files, paranormal. Yeah. You'd think that they would kind of stay on the same vein, but maybe they just did what they liked.
Maybe.
How dare they?
How dare they?
Okay, we're getting sidetracked.
Whose turn is it next?
Yours.
Mine? All right, so the next show is HBO's Succession podcast. Is it still recording? No, it's not, because the show is ended. And the one thing about HBO's shows is they're like official podcasts of the show, so they don't, it's not done by fans or anything. It's actually done by people from the studio.
Mm-hmm.
It never goes beyond the show. Because of that, I didn't give it the lowest score.
Me too.
I gave it a 2.
I gave it a 3. I just kind of was like, meh.
I gave it a 5.
Oh.
And I don't know why.
Well, I understand.
I feel like
because
it
it's
ended
a
because
limited...
it ended with the show,
Right.
and like they're not like dragging it out for no reason.
It's
you know
like
what
a
I mean?
limited series.
Yeah, a limited series.
Like
deal.
if Chernobyl was on the list from the article,
Mm-hmm.
because that was a mini series.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Even though it's not recorded, if it's still recording, I still would have given it a 5
Still need to
because
watch
it was
that.
a mini series. It was
Yeah.
a one-time deal.
Yeah.
No, it was like 4, 6 episodes, and that was it. Did everybody?
Yeah.
What did you say? 2.
I gave it a 3.
3, and you gave it a
5.
So a length of episodes.
Length of episode. Length of episode. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. I was
It's,
like, what?
30 minutes to an hour.
Yes. So I gave it a 4.
I also gave it a 4.
I also gave it a 4.
I would have given it a 5 if it was 30 to 45 minutes, but since it went to the extra 15,
That extra 15
I was
minutes
like, I'm gonna drop it down.
really get you.
Yeah. Release schedule, it's weekly, so I gave it a 5.
Me too.
Same.
Yep. And production
5.
quality, it's an HBO podcast.
Yeah,
it's gonna
it
be
got a
perfect.
5, right?
5.
Yeah.
5. Cinco. Cool. All right. So the last one we did was Talking Sopranos. So for still recording, it is not still recording. I gave it a 3.
I gave it a 5. Yeah.
I gave it a 1.
Oh.
I was actually glad it wasn't recording.
You know what?
anymore.
That's pretty much
So
why I
was-
gave it a 5.
Oh, you know what? I could see that, but I
Yeah.
was like, my goodness. I was like,
See, in my mind, I'm like, I get that they were going like episodically, but it's like there's so much more you could talk about. So it's like they didn't necessarily have to.
Right.
I mean,
okay.
yeah, I'll bring it up to a 3.
91 episodes.
And there was a lot. Can I
How
hear
and how many seasons?
There's like 7 or something.
And they
seasons
have
of
like
The
a good
Sopranos.
amount of
And they're long.
Yeah.
Like, they're long episodes.
I don't know. I guess it's hard to. No, I don't know.
Yeah, and
I
it was
don't know how to
strictly
defend that.
Sopranos, so
Yeah.
it was a show like with Office Ladies. It's 2 actors that's from the show, and they interviewed a lot of people
Which I
Mhm.
think is
on the
fun.
show.
It was fun, yeah.
All right, so for length of episode, 1.5 to 2 hours.
That's a
long.
lot.
I gave it a 3.
Me
I was
too.
like, that's too
1.
much.
No. I only have so
You're
many hours
pushing
in my
it with
life.
Dave.
I know.
It's too much chatting.
It's a lot. Especially
It's painful.
yeah. So release schedule.
Release schedule. I gave it a 3.
Yeah, it was weekly. I gave it a 5 because it was weekly.
So did I.
I gave it a 3 because of the fact the episodes are so long.
Right. Okay.
I mean, if it was an hour episode, I was like, weekly, great. Yeah, 5. But, like,
Hour and a half, 2
it's
hours.
like
That's
two
That's a lot.
episodes in a week.
That's a
No.
lot.
I was like,
And
no.
then- Production quality.
I gave it a 4.
I did too.
I gave it a 5.
I didn't love the production because I felt
No.
like these were 2 actors who, I mean, I don't know how much money that they got, but like
I'm
it was
gonna
just like
guess a lot.
right. That's what
of
I'm
money.
saying. So like, why was the quality so bad?
Well, because they're not techies at all. They're like
I know.
stereotypical.
Couple Italians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you even in one of the episodes I was listening to, guys like the producer, he's like I forgot the producer's name. He was like, "You're gonna have to do something because I don't know what's going on here." And,
Yeah.
At that point, like, shouldn't you get somebody who knows what they're doing
Yeah.
to make it?
But
I'm
also,
sure they do have somebody, and they probably just are so difficult during the
Yeah.
recording.
Just
Yeah.
like, I don't care.
Chaos.
because it's almost like they were trying to be their characters, the way they were talking and sounding and dropping F-bombs. Like,
And maybe, well, I was thinking that too when I was listening. I was like, but maybe this is just how they are. And
Well,
it
the
was
one
just like
guy
the
is
perfect
like a-
show for them.
I don't know about the guy who plays Michael. The guy who plays Christopher. Michael, who plays Christopher. I don't know where he's from, but the other guy is from Brooklyn or whatever.
Yeah.
So I get that.
Yeah.
A lot of my family talks like that. So,
So, but the other thing though, when they had guests, there was the guests.
The quality from the
were
guests
really
was
bad.
Really bad.
Yeah. So I dropped it down.
yeah, that is something you should, especially people like that who have access to you should have it down pat. Because I listen to podcasts where people live in. It's weekly, and they live in 3 different states or 2 different states. And that's why we drink.
Yeah.
And Greg all the time will be like, they're not in the same room. They're really not in the same room. And I'm like,
Right.
no, it sounds so good.
It sounds so good.
Yeah.
And
There's no excuse.
There's no
Yeah,
excuse.
especially when the person who's calling in was, in one of the episodes I listened to was David Chase. And he's the creator of the show.
Yeah,
and he
you wanna,
wrote most of the episodes and
think-
directed some of them.
I think it would be better.
You would think he would want it to be good.
Yeah.
I mean, some of that too is the guests, they can't control.
Right.
Yeah.
The quality of their end.
Yeah.
But
with David
yeah.
Chase, you would think it would be different.
right.
I'm trying to see where the guy who played Christopher was born. Mount Vernon, New York.
Mount Vernon.
Oh.
That's upstate, right?
Yep. It's kind of in the Hicks
Mm.
sticks.
In the Hick
And then they moved to Brewster when he was 11.
Where's Brewster?
That's
Is that Jersey?
in the sticks too, I think.
Oh, never mind.
No, it's not super north of the city. It's Putnam County.
Oh.
Yeah, but
a
it's
little
still
bit.
part of the Catskills, I think.
I mean, everything north of the city is the sticks to me, so.
Same.
That's what everybody from the city says.
Interesting.
All right, so
let's go back and total up, right?
tally up. So for buffering, I have 16 points,
I have 18.
I have 18.
which equals
Oh, I could do that. 18,
42?
18 plus 16?
42.
Wait, 18 plus 18 plus 16?
Yes,
52.
Yeah.
52. That's why I am a librarian and not a mathematician. All right, office ladies.
I gave it a 20.
20.
So 60.
60.
Dragoncast.
I gave it a 13.
I also gave it a 13.
10.
So 36.
Look at you with your quick math.
Well, it's easy when it's 5, 1, 1, and 3.
All right, Dave. Give me
Don't-
some credit.
Yeah, man, don't discredit.
No, I have small numbers. It's easier to add small numbers.
Succession.
19.
17.
60.
31. Double check me.
I think it's 32. 42.
What you said, 19, 19, 16?
I have 17.
19, 17, 16. I think it's 42.
13, 42.
52.
What?
Hold on, let
No.
me do that math again. I could do better math in my head than I can on a calculator. What is wrong with me? No, I got 15.
Wait, it was
16 plus
16
17. Oh, right. That makes sense. Yeah.
plus-
It's 52.
52?
Yeah.
Wow, I was...
I don't do better math in my head. I take it back. Can you
And
take
this
that
was
out?
talking- wait, what is this for?
For HBO Succession.
Why do I have 31 here?
Because I blurted that out because I'm
Oh.
dumber than this table.
This is why we're librarians.
6, 10, 11 is for me. We're talking Sopranos.
Sopranos.
17.
17. What was yours, Dave?
11,
Oh my god.
What was yours, Colleen?
45.
What'd you say?
44. It was 16, 17, and 11.
Okay.
It should be 44.
45.
What?
Oh, wait, somebody said 16?
Boy,
Yes.
oh boy.
Oh, I thought I heard 217.
God damn it.
Damn
Damn it, Dave.
Okay, so that puts Office Ladies in first. A
First.
tie for second between
Ooh.
Buffering and Succession.
Ooh.
Talking Sopranos third and Dragoncast fourth.
Wait, what was Dragoncast altogether?
36.
Wow.
Damn. Brutalized it.
Yeah. That's surprising
Said
because
no
Talking
gracias.
Sopranos was my least favorite.
Hmm.
Which I was really disappointed. I was like thinking, oh, I'm going to rewatch it with the show. And I was like, no, because the podcast is twice as long as an episode.
Yeah.
The episodes are long.
They're pretty
Well,
long episodes, but I
thought
also
they were
have never
only an
watched
hour.
them.
Ugh, I feel defensive because I'm loving watching The Sopranos, so
I haven't watched it. My mom
So good.
loved
I've only
it when
saw
it
a
came
little bit of the first season.
it's so
Meanwhile, my
Good.
oldest son has seen it like the whole series like 3 times.
out. Wow.
I
Good for him.
love it.
I could say the same about a few shows. but they're like mindless 30-minute episodes that I could easily watch over and over and over.
You know what I just realized?
That's me and Schitt's Creek.
Didn't
Like Modern Family.
Yeah.
Modern Family. We're rewatching Modern Family.
I had never fully watched. I'd never fully watched it.
Me
either.
either. Yeah,
I had seen like a lot of it, and then Greg and I were like, "Let's sit down and watch it." And the other night we were both like on the verge of tears. I was like, "I can't stop watching this."
It's the first show where Sam and I are both out loud laughing.
Yeah.
And cringing.
I think I'm up to 7 right now. Like, I'm not finished with it. There's 11 seasons, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
They go so fast. Like,
Yeah.
I could just
We're
sit
only
there
on
and watch
like
it
season
all
2.
day.
We're on season 2, so we just did the second Valentine's Day where with Julia and Clive.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes.
And he was like stripped down naked in another woman's hotel room.
Wasn't it an older woman or something?
Yeah,
like a little old lady.
Yeah.
And we watched that episode last night, and also when the kids caught them having sex.
Oh
yeah.
And the middle girl, she's like, watching her eyes up. I still see it.
Such a good show.
Oh my
That's
god,
really
it's
good.
so funny.
Did we decide that next month we're gonna do staff picks?
Yes. So, but you know what? I noticed. I forgot. I didn't put down any library programs.
Yeah.
Well, off rip, we're starting October registration on Friday, September 1st. And we're going to have a lot of fun stuff in September, October. Summer reading is over, but we're doing a banned book reading challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
So that'll be more chances to get tickets and prizes.
Yeah. Oh, and for National Library Card,
Yes.
we
They're going to have tickets at Circus. I think it's
month.
Yeah.
So for every
library card sign up month.
Yeah, every item that you check out, you get 3 raffle tickets, and you can put them towards a prize, such as, I believe there's free Bronx Zoo tickets that you could get, a voucher for an exercise class, free spa day,
some spices.
Oh, the Spice Collection.
The Spice Club.
I gotta join that every year.
We're also doing, for Hispanic Heritage Month, Sarah's doing a special book
Yes,
club.
I am doing a special book club.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And we are going to do fun shows for lunch with the book club as well.
We're also doing film and fun shows.
Film
and
and fun shows is happening too.
Nice.
Roma and get some fun shows, so that'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
Doing some craft classes.
Yeah. There's going to be bingo again.
Bingo.
That's a hit.
Mhm.
Bingo at the brewery.
We had like 40 people last time.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. Oh my god. That's almost getting too many people.
Sometimes they get a little rowdy, but it's
get
fun.
into it,
It's a
yeah.
good time.
Well, that's when it's good that it's in a brewery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also only an hour usually.
Yeah,
So
pretty
like
quick.
it's not like it's a long, drawn out bingo game.
Yeah.
People love. We give away lots of prizes at that
Yeah,
as well.
that's fun times.
Yeah.
Gift cards.
Cool.
Yeah. You're listening to the Wizards of Pod podcast, a podcast of professional librarians talking about podcasts. For more podcast news and updates, follow us on Twitter at PodWizards. You can find a link to all the podcasts we've discussed in the show notes. Music for this podcast was brought to you by Bensound Royalty-Free Music. You can check out their great collection of music at www.bensound.com.
See you next month.
Bye.
Bye.